Okay guys, the headline of my video is not a clickbait and you will see why this is very important. In 2003, Pentagon has ordered a report for internal usage only, which was titled An Abrupt Climate Change Scenario and its Implications for United States National Security. Now, this Pentagon report goes through several scenarios that are describing exactly what is happening today. Now, this was created in 2003 and somehow the report was leaked into the mediums in 2004. Here's a page that summarizes the leak. Climate collapse, the Pentagon's weather nightmare. Fortune, February 9, 2004. Now the Pentagon tells Bush climate change will destroy us. Observer, London, February 22, 2004. Pentagon-sponsored climate report sparks hullabaloo in Europe. San Francisco Chronicle. The sky is falling, say Hollywood and yes, the Pentagon. New York Times. Abrupt climate change has been a growing topic of concern for about a decade for climate scientists who fear that global warming could shut down the ocean conveyor that warms the North Atlantic, plunging Europe and parts of North America into Siberian-like conditions within a few decades or even years. But it was only with the recent appearance of a Pentagon report on the possible social effects in terms of instability and war of abrupt climate change that it riveted public attention. So, after this leaked, Pentagon has approved the study for public release. They have downplayed the study and have expressed that this study is only hypothetical and they are pushing the boundaries with this, so they can create different scenarios of how they can manage if this occurs. But you will see why this didn't generate any public attention in 2004, but it should generate public attention today because everything that is described in the study is happening right now. So let's start with the study. An abrupt climate change scenario and its implications for United States national security, published in October 2003 by Peter Schwartz and Doug Randall. So let's see what this study proposes. The research suggests that once temperature rises above some threshold, adverse weather conditions could develop relatively abruptly with persistent changes in the atmospheric circulation, causing drops in some regions of 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit in a single decade. They suggest there is a tipping point, which after the tipping point is passed, all hell breaks loose and the climate change collapses and causes this chain of reaction which was witnessed in the previous collapses of civilization. So in this study they use two such events which I have explained them extensively in my threads and in one of my videos. They mention 8.2 kiloyear event which occurred roughly 8,000 years ago and the Younger Dryas period which occurred roughly 12,700 years ago. Now, what does these two events have in common? If you have seen my video and read my threads on X, you will know that during these two events there was a geomagnetic excursion. Here's the study for the event 8.2 thousand years ago. They suggest, based on evidence found in a volcano in China, that roughly 8,000 years ago there was an unrecognized younger Holocene geomagnetic excursion. So they suggest that this climate change 8,000 years ago occurred because of geomagnetic excursion. And I agree with them, because during the Younger Dryas there was also a geomagnetic excursion called the Gutenberg magnetic excursion. So you can see that it ranges from 30,000 years to 12,000 years ago before present. Exactly aligns with the Younger Dryas abrupt climate change. And what's happening today? Of course, there is a geomagnetic excursion. You can see the pole shift acceleration around 1994. Just watch this acceleration. The geomagnetic shift has reached speed between 30 and 55 km per year, which is similar to the speed of the pole shift during the Lachamp geomagnetic excursion 42,000 years ago, in which the Neanderthals went extinct. Now back to the study. In the introduction, the study explains how abrupt climate change can lead to shortages of food and famine. So here it says, rather than decades or even centuries of gradual warming, recent evidence suggests the possibility that a more dire climate scenario may actually be unfolding. This is why GBN is working with OSD to develop a plausible scenario for abrupt climate change that can be used to explore implications for food supply, health and disease, commerce and trade, and their consequences for national security. While future weather patterns and the specific details of abrupt climate change cannot be predicted accurately or with great assurance, the actual history of climate change provides some useful guides, because we have evidence that abrupt climate change has happened several times before in the past, and we can see that this is a cyclical event, which I have explained that it's mainly caused by the axial precession and the sun. Our goal is merely to portray a plausible scenario similar to one which has already occurred in human experience, for which there is reasonable evidence, so that we may further explore potential implications for United States national security. They are building their model based on these two past events, the 8.2 kiloyear event and the Younger Dryas, and this is the correct comparison because they coincide with geomagnetic excursion, and today we are undergoing a geomagnetic excursion, as I have shown you. They have included another event, the Little Ice Age. In my opinion, they should have included the Little Antique Ice Age, because that's in between the geomagnetic excursions, but this is also an event that caused major collapse of civilizations, major diseases across Europe, etc. You can see that the period was marked by persistent crop failures, famine, disease, and population migration, perhaps most dramatically felt by the Norse, also known as the Vikings, who inhabited Iceland and later Greenland. They are talking about the Little Ice Age, which occurred around 1300. So in their scenario in 2003, they predicted that the ocean current collapse might occur, based on the previous example, between 2010 and 2020. After roughly 60 years of slow freshening, the thermoland collapse begins in 2010, disrupting the temperature climate of Europe, which is made possible by the warm flows of the Gulf Stream. But as we can see, this didn't occur in 2010, and scientists were quiet about these ocean currents until 2024 and 2025. Now they're all over it. Now you see why this study was dismissed in 2004 and it didn't raise any concerns, or it didn't show up again in 2010 or 2020, but why we should start paying attention today. So this is from The Guardian, and it's all based on studies. Collapse of critical Atlantic current is no longer low likelihood, study finds. So here they focused on human-driven climate change, but as we can see from the study, these events like the Younger Dryas, the cooling event 8,000 years ago, and the Little Ice Age occurred naturally. So why should we consider that today we are the cause for this climate change? Anyway, we have more studies. Key Atlantic current could start collapsing as early as 2055, new study finds. And there are also studies that say that it could collapse in 2030, which is 5 years from now. Nevertheless, we are starting to see the changes in the climate. And as I've said, in my opinion, everything is driven by the geomagnetic excursion. Now, here they express that they are uncertain about the climate dynamics of the southern hemisphere. They don't have enough paleoclimatic data, so they assume it will go either warm or it will be also cold as in the northern hemisphere. And they have made this map showing what could happen in the different parts of the world. They predict cold, dry and windy weather in North America and Europe, wet and stormy weather in Central and South Asia, dry weather in Africa, and dry intermittent monsoons in East Asia. Europe, hit hardest by the climatic change. Average annual temperatures dropped by 6 degrees Fahrenheit in under a decade, with more dramatic shifts along the northwest coast. United States, colder, windier and drier weather makes growing season shorter and less productive throughout the northeastern United States, and longer and drier in the southwest. So as you can see, they are not going to the extreme, because in my opinion the weather will be a lot more extreme. But now let's see what they suggest it will happen when these changes start occurring. In the event of abrupt climate change, it's likely that food, water, and energy resource constraints will first be managed through economic, political, and diplomatic means, such as treaties and trade embargoes. Over time, though, conflicts over land and water use are likely to become more severe and more violent. They suggest that there will be wars for food and energy, just like the wars we are seeing today, especially the war in Ukraine. Here they made a conflict scenario due to climate change. Now watch for Europe. They predicted Russia joins EU, providing energy resources. Now clearly this didn't happen, but Russia attacked Ukraine, and we all know that Ukraine was one of the major suppliers of grain, and when this abrupt climate change occurs, we know that there will be food shortages, and also there are wars for rare earth minerals. Also, they predict migration from northern countries such as Holland and Germany towards Spain and Italy. We are still not seeing this, but we are seeing these disagreements with Canada and Mexico over water increased tension. A lot of refugees to Southeast US and Mexico from Caribbean islands. So we are already seeing this migration in the developed countries. The United States and Australia are likely to build defensive fortress around their countries because they have the resources and reserve to achieve self-sufficiency. Well, if what is coming is what I think is coming, no one will achieve self-sufficiency except for the elite who are preparing their doomsday bunkers, as I've stated in my previous videos. As famine, disease and water-related disasters strike due to the abrupt climate change, many countries' needs will exceed their carrying capacity. This will create a sense of desperation, which is likely to lead to offensive aggression in order to reclaim balance. Imagine Eastern European countries struggling to feed their populations with a falling supply of food, water and energy, eyeing Russia, whose population is already in decline, for access to its grain, minerals and energy supplies. Now, this is also interesting. The United States and Canada may become one, simplifying border controls. Or Canada might keep its hydropower, causing energy problem in the US. Now, we all know that Trump wants to take Canada and Greenland. They also say that they might happen unexpected alliances, and in my latest thread we can already see those unexpected alliances between Russia and China. Also here Putin and Xi Jinping are discussing about achieving immortality, which is pretty interesting to me. Ocean, land and atmosphere scientists at some of the world's most prestigious organizations have uncovered new evidence over the past decade, suggesting that the plausibility of severe and rapid climate change is higher than most of the scientific community and perhaps all of the political community is prepared for. So, if Pentagon have dismissed this study as imaginary in 2004, today we can't dismiss this because everything described here more or less is happening today. We have the ocean current collapse, we have the wars, we have the battle for rare earth minerals, we have the alliances, we have Trump wanting to unite to take Canada and Greenland, and obviously this is connected to the upcoming geophysical event, and the elites are also preparing. Everyone is building doomsday bunkers and no one is paying attention to this. My videos are getting demonetized. Also, my view count is very low, so if you can share this video, show me your support, like and comment so the algorithm can promote this video more, and of course subscribe to my Patreon account because with your help I can continue my research and show you some hidden gems like this study. Thank you and see you in the next video.